Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln on this Sunday morning. My name is the Reverend Dr. Oscar Sinclair. I'm joined in the chancel by our worship associate, Andy Larson, and by everyone here. This Sunday morning, we are doing a whole lot of things all at once. So if things feel even more chaotic than usual, it's because chances are they actually are this time. There are people organizing a potluck. We are starting our religious education program for the year. We are kicking off our annual giving drive. Please don't leave as soon as I say that. The potluck is a bribe. But before we do all that, we gather for an hour in this room to get in touch with the source of meaning in our lives, to pause in the midst of what may be busy or chaotic weeks, mornings, months, years, seasons, and just to be with each other in this community. We say that the Unitarian Church of Lincoln is a loving community uniting reason with spiritual exploration to transform ourselves and the world. So whatever brought you here this morning, whoever you are, wherever you are going, whoever you love, whatever your gender, whatever your age, whatever your skin color, know that this place is a place of welcome. It is good to be together, beloveds. It is good to join together for this time. We'll begin worship by lighting our chalice, the symbol of a shared Unitarian Universalist faith.
Today's chalice lighting is by me. We light this chalice together in celebration of the choices we have all made to be here. For the choice of Unitarian Universalism, the choice of membership in the church, the choice of active participation, and the choice to be here today, thank you. Your choices make this congregation what it is. Our first hymn will be 360, Here We Have Gathered.
Circle of kinship,
So part of our Unitarian Universalist tradition is a relatively high opinion of our membership. Not our members, but the concept of membership in this shared faith. We are a covenantal community, which means that we are here because we choose to be here. We are here because we choose to be together. So once or twice a year, we set aside a Sunday to welcome new members of our community. So I'd like to invite our new members to come forward and join Jason and Liz and I here at the front of the sanctuary.
Well, hello. My name is Jason Slaughter, and I serve the congregation as the treasurer of our Board of Trustees. Today, we have the privilege and honor to welcome new members who have freely chosen to join the Unitarian Church of Lincoln in this last year. Membership is a hallmark of our tradition. The gathered membership of the church is the highest authority of Unitarian Universalism.
Friends and members of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln, today we welcome new members into this congregation. This is a non-creedal church. There's no doctrinal test for membership. We honor different spiritual paths, knowing that all are called to search for truth and meaning.
Since our charter members joined together in 1898, membership in the Unitarian Church of Lincoln has been marked by signing these two books. We welcome the following friends who will sign the book to become members: Lindy Dreibelweiss and Lynn Howard.
You have come before us to join yourselves to this church. What do you wish to receive?
We come from different backgrounds. We have walked other religious pathways. Oh, God. We come to be assured that we are among supportive friends, that our voices will be heard in reading and singing and in discussion and decisions. We come to share our talents and our gifts. We are here to join in community with all of you.
So have we, members and friends of this congregation, prepared a place in this house and in our hearts to receive these people into community with us?
We have a place for them and receive them warmly. This is a place of friendship and freedom. We guard their dignity and worth as we do our own. In our search for truth, we honor their right of free expression. This church is a cradle for our dreams and a workshop for our common endeavors. We gladly share it with them. You are welcome here. We will now present you with a rose. I will do that. A symbol of new beginnings in this new place. And I did it early, so I apologize.
So if you want to come over here, you are welcome to sign the book either now or later. We also have people who decide to sign the book in the office on a Tuesday afternoon. And stay up here for just a moment. So having now done that, I now charge you as new members of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln to share with us your creative thoughts, your vital experiences, your questions, your doubts, your discoveries, and the principles that matter most to you. For all gathered, are these people gathered before you welcomed into our community? If so, say they are with great rejoicing.
They are with great rejoicing.
Welcome. So that concludes our new member welcome. So you can sit down if you'd like. Two quick programmatic notes. This is the first Sunday of our Religious Growth and Learning program. So, as you might have noticed, that ceremony took the place of our Time for All Ages. So at this point, and during this next piece of music, if the kids would like to make their way back to their classroom, you are welcome to do that. The other programmatic note is that you may have noticed in material that we sent out this week that the choir was scheduled to sing this morning. Currently, several of our choir members have COVID-19. So, out of an abundance of caution, you will notice that the choir is not singing this morning. This is a very convenient time to make an annual reminder, which will be an annual, if not monthly, reminder for probably the rest of our ministry together here. We are coming into respiratory illness season. It's not just COVID, it's also RSV, pneumonia, flu, but also very much COVID. So, if you are feeling sick, stay home. If you are in the choir and several people are sick, we will defer the choir for a month, and we're just going to do that rather than getting more people sick. If you have a fever, stay home. If your throat's a little scratchy and you think it might be the fires that are blowing smoke down here, take your temperature, do a COVID test, and then decide whether or not you want to come in. We are going to depend on everybody's own analysis of your own risk. So if you are more comfortable wearing a mask, please wear a mask. If you are more comfortable participating in the live stream, we spent a lot of hours setting that live stream up so that it would be an option for moments like this. We're going to go through this. It's going to be fine. I'm going to tell you probably 16 times between now and January to please get your vaccines. In addition to the COVID vaccine, there's also an RSV vaccine this year. There's a pneumonia vaccine, which I got, that's new. And an influenza vaccine. So you have a chance to get all four. The best advice I've seen is get all four before Halloween, before the end of October. So you'll hear that from me several times. But for now, demonstrating our abundant caution, we will welcome our pinch hitters as guest musicians this morning. So would you please welcome Bill Carpenter and Hannah Jo Smith.
Tell it you mean business. Yeah? I'm so glad to be able to be here with you all this morning. Bill is one of my colleagues and a good friend at Doane University, where we both teach in Crete. And while we work together with our students all the time, it's rare that we have a chance to actually work together. And this morning we have a few pieces we'll present. This first one is a German song by Robert Schumann. The title is Der Nussbaum. I'll be singing in German, so I'll tell you a little bit about what it's about. Der Nussbaum is a nut tree, and like many German poems, this one reflects the interrelationship between nature and humanity. The leaves of the nut tree are swaying in the breeze, and they're whispering to each other, and the young maiden is asleep in the grass at the foot of the tree, and the whispering leaves are encouraging her to dream of next year and her bridegroom. Der Nussbaum.
Hi again. My name's Jason Slaughter. I'm the treasurer. I'm representing the Board of Trustees today. Now, this community is not just what happens on Sunday morning. The Unitarian Church of Lincoln exists in the events that we gather for every week and in the joys and sorrows that we bring to our gatherings. This week, we are having a potluck after this service. So there will be multiple opportunities to win prizes. If you've brought a dish, make sure you got one of those tickets that you for our raffle, as well as if you did want to participate in the most improved, please make sure you fill out the application for the most improved process and for the judging for that. Today, there's a sign up out here for the 6300 Dinner Club. Don't know what that is? We'll ask for more information at the registration table in the gallery after the service. Today, because we're starting our RGL, children are invited to choose a free book from our church bookstore after classes today. Children will go with their parent or guardian to the gathering place room after being picked up from class and choose a book. I want to offer a special welcome to those who are visiting for the first time. We hope that you will join us in food and coffee and conversation in the gallery today following the service. Now, our community also today sets aside time to tend to each other in times of joy and in times of sadness. We share with one another our joys and sorrows, the events that mark the steps of our journey. The threads of sorrow and those of joy are intertwined in the fabric of our lives, present for all, remembered by all. We share those threads, and then they are woven together with those of others in our community. Our joys are shared and magnified. We are comforted in our sorrows. I invite you to type in the chat if you're online, or speak here in the shared space, your name or the name of another you wish to be remembered today in sorrow. Rick and Betsy. Henry. I'm sorry? George and Jill. Family of Vincent Craig. Mary and Benny. The family of Karen Bonenberger. Jessica Kennedy Matthews. Joanna's niece died of cancer. The people of Morocco. I have 3 sorrows from our online. Sorrow for those who are suffering from the earthquake in Morocco. Christine Davis' mom. Jamie Radcliffe for Brian. I invite you, again, to type in the chat or speak again in the shared space your name or the name of another you wish to be remembered in joy.
Jackie Egan, who was honored at the NAACP banquet last night for good work with the NAACP.
Jackie Egan. She was honored at the last night's dinner for the NAACP. So you said Rick, right? Ray, thank you. Sorry. Ray had a great doctor's appointment. Doesn't have to go back for another year.
Tom and Joanna, 59 years Tuesday.
Tom and Joanna, 59 years this upcoming Tuesday. Yep, great.
Gratitude for everyone putting the work into making the potluck happen.
Gratitude for everyone who's put in the hard work to make this potluck happen this afternoon. and Judy Kelly for spearheading the effort.
Baby Ducky's impending first birthday.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Ducky?
It's a nickname.
A lovely nickname. I have one here in the Mary Somayer. Probably saying that wrong. Thank you. Joy for Penny Erweiler, providing books for the children today. One more, Erica Rios. My daughter Maya is turning 20 years old.
A joy to all the volunteers who make sure we can have a religious education program for the children.
Yeah, joy to all the volunteers so we have a religious program throughout the whole year. Thanks for the people who set up all the tables this morning. Well, we know, we're good. We know too that there are some joys and some sorrows that are close to the heart, but still deeply felt. Let us hold a moment of silence for everything unspoken. Thank you for your presence. And we are going to have a hymn. We have hymn 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. But I think we have a little instructions here.
We'll take it. You'll know.
We practiced last week, but it's good to
Did you practice last week? But now I'm ready. Go for it, Bill.
Do we have to sing in the mic?
Oh, good. We got this. Good job, everybody. Each week, we take up a collection to support the work of this church and our partners in the community. We do this because just as we all grow from our participation in this community, we all give back through our time, our talent, and our treasure. To give, you can text UC Lincoln and the amount to 73256. That's UC Lincoln and the amount to 73256. And our ushers will pass the bowls around. The offering will now be gratefully received. And then after this, we have more guest music.
This piece, Sure on This Shining Night, is by American composer Samuel Barber, and the poetry is by James Agee. I was touched this morning as I was driving in. The words on the marquee say something along the lines of, "Let your life be a song, sweetly serenading the stars." And this poem reflects that very idea. It sounds much like a prayer, sure, on this shining night. Kindness must watch for me, this
Our reading today is by Jane Zhepka. We are the people who choose. So I'm in Istanbul, in the marketplace, adrift in the covered bazaar, and insanely, I'm trying to blend in. I'm amidst tables of figs, flip-flops, saffron, carpets, apple tea, and hookahs. I'm walking past booth after booth of pistachios, evil eyes, satellite dishes, Islamic holy books, Bart Simpson t-shirts, brass trays, and harem girl outfits. Harem girl outfits. And the fellow in the harem outfit booth looks at me for a split second and says in perfect English, "It is your destiny." This particular sales pitch did not work. At least to date, I have not put my name on the harem girl sign-up sheet, regardless of my destiny. I laughed out loud, and there, in the Turkish-covered bazaar, experienced a moment of perfect clarity. I am a Unitarian Universalist, and we are people who choose. And that, my friends, is the point. You are choosing your religion, and what you're going to believe about God, and good and evil, and justice, and what you think they mean. You are choosing how you handle death, how you're going to change the world, how you're going to connect with the cosmos, and how you're going to get through the day. It's your religion and your church. It's your church, and maybe you like rocking babies in the nursery, or you like designing shelves, or you just like to try. You're a natural-born leader, or you like to test your wings at chairing a committee. You're a bit of a ham or terrified of public speaking. Either way, it's your church, your vision, it's all within your power. You are choosing your faith. Whether you are chatty or mute, analytical or artistic, you with your personal finances bar graphed on your computer, you who feel at home in the kitchen, You who have a wealth of intuition, you whose watch beeps on the hour, you who wonder what day it is, you whose socks don't match. You are welcome here because, after all, this is your church, and you know this is good stuff. You know what you want from church. You've made your decisions. You know what counts in your life. You know what you like. Why else would you fill out a pledge card, guilt-free and happily? You have your own reasons to celebrate. You know where you are headed, and whether you're looking for peace and harmony, or wholeness, or a more just world, you've arrived. And whether you want to teach the children a sense of their inherent worth, or that their faith and lives are one, or a love for the adventures of life, you're here together. You've arrived. And whether you're looking for a community of love, or a sense of transcendence, healing, or comfort, here you are together. You've arrived. We're singing 354, We Laugh, We Cry, just verses 1 and 4.
Show the verses up here.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to reach we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need those friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. To be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have all our joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even the question truly is an answer.
So every fall at this church, there's a sermon on our worship planning schedule that's circled in red on my calendar. It goes by many names. Sometimes it's the day where everybody stays home after they see the sermon topic. The day, aside from Mother's Day, that preachers hate to preach the most. The Sermon on the Amount. For the Unitarian Church of Lincoln, usually it's the first Sunday in October, when we launch our pledge drive for the coming year, what we are calling this year the annual giving campaign. Because here's the reality of Unitarian Universalist churches. 85% of our income at this church comes from giving from members. Most of that's pledges. 85%. Not endowments, not grants, not support from a national denomination. Our operating budget, everything from keeping the lights on to the salaries for staff and the minister, lives and dies on the giving of the people in this room and the 32 people watching online right now. So we talk about it. And every year, giving the pledging sermon is a cause of a lot of lost sleep and heartburn for Unitarian ministers. And this year, just speaking frankly for a moment, I've had more heartburn than usual, because last year, this sermon, we worked real hard to get our lay staff salaries up to the midpoint set by our denomination. And this year, one of the big pieces in the budget that the board is putting together is bringing my salary up to the midpoint. And if you can imagine the excruciating professional experience that is standing in front of 300 people and saying that, and then waiting for those 300 people to vote in December, then you might understand why I like using humor to deflect awkward moments in sermons. For instance, apparently the YouTube algorithm has discovered that we're doing a potluck because it keeps thinking that COVID-19 is coca-vin. So, now that that excruciating part is over, this is actually not going to be a traditional pledge drive sermon. The board is going to have to be the people to make the case. I can't do that. So we'll take a slightly different tack this year. No sermon on the amount. But let's talk about what this place is. Last week, we talked about how the church is both a real thing and an abstract concept, how it's a vision that we have together that we create somehow by being here, a group of people in a particular time, a particular place, doing particular things. And this morning, we welcomed 2 new members to that community, signing the book and joining this messy, imperfect community. So, to our new folks, welcome, truly. And by way of welcome, because our new folks have joined in the last year, I'm going to reread this piece by my colleague, the Reverend Elia Kemmler. We read this piece right before I went on sabbatical. But it's over 20 years ago now, and she's still serving the same congregation. And it bears repeating for this sermon. And Elia wrote 20 years ago, 6 weeks into the church year, I have realized I am the minister of a church where things usually go wrong. This morning, the copy machine jams repeatedly. The bulletin describing the order of worship has been copied with the second page first and also upside down. No one has remembered to turn on the lights in the sanctuary before the service, so it is dark because it is raining outside. The microphone is buzzing and lets out a painful, high-pitched squeal which makes people wince. We've just started the service when someone runs up with a bunch of flowers for the altar, just as someone else runs in with one of the silk arrangements we keep for the mornings when no one brings real flowers. There is laughter as 2 flower bearers have a collision at the altar. They decide on the real flowers. Things settle down for a while until a baby starts crying, which starts another baby crying. I try to speak over the wailing as their fathers hustle them down the aisle and try and distract them in the back. Usually I love watching the tall, gentle fathers who bounce their babies in their backpacks at the rear of the sanctuary, but today I am annoyed because I want it to be quiet and holy and lovely, and things are definitely not shaping up that way. The woman who is helping with worship gets up and, instead of giving the announcements, introduces the candle lighting time, which comes later. People call out, "Not yet," more laughter. The organist starts playing the wrong hymn, and a couple of choir members yell over the din to stop, please. A few minutes later, during the period for prayerful silence, he accidentally falls onto the keyboard, causing the organ to emit horrible, gassy noises. All pretense of Sunday morning decorum is lost, and something inside me, some furious, bossy desire to have my worship service go according to plan, finally slides free, and I can laugh with them. This will be the first of many times that I laugh at Sunday morning details gone awry. It is also the first of many times that I imagine that God is watching, looking up or down or over or out at us from wherever God sits on Sunday morning, slightly amazed and maybe at a loss for words, because we, God's people, are so funny and wonderful and odd, all at the same time. In moments like these, I imagine God as a sturdy old woman with her hands on her hips, or perhaps as a rabbi pulling his long white beard. I imagine God shaking their head and saying, "What in the world are they doing over there? This is what they call church? What were they thinking?" But I also imagine a God who is touched and maybe a little honored by our efforts, however halting, to worship and give praise. I imagine a God who is moved by our attempts to care for one another and to name the things that we know as holy. There's a warmth in this congregation, she wrote 20 years ago, that is new to me. A simple friendliness that shines through the fumblings and failures, a love that makes the ragged edges smooth. I've always wanted to believe, really believe, that our mistakes aren't the most important parts of us. I've always wanted to believe that kindness and compassion matter more than anything. I sense I can learn this here. So, new members, welcome to this place where things often go wrong. Sometimes it's funny. Reverend Kemmler describes that part well. And sometimes it's tragic. A mentor of mine once told me that we join churches twice. The first time when we sign the membership book, and the second time when the church breaks our heart. And then we come back. The first time that the church breaks our heart really breaks it. And we stay. Because membership is a choice. Jane Shepka puts it, we are the people who choose. Members of this congregation choose every day to be in it and support it. Because they sense that somehow what we do here matters. Even in the midst of that heartbreak, even in the midst of things going wrong, funny or otherwise. That choosing looks like a whole lot of different things. Maybe you like rocking babies in the nursery, Shepka writes. Or you like designing shelves, or you'd like to try. You're a natural leader. Or you'd like to test your wings at chairing a committee. You're a bit of a ham or terrified of public speaking. Either way, it's your church and your vision. We're going to come back to that part about joining a church twice. We'll let that go for right now. For right now, let's do an experiment. We don't have everybody in the church here, and some people are on live stream, and we won't be able to see them standing up. But as I call out different groups in this church, if you would rise in body or in spirit, or otherwise make yourself known in the room, and then sit back down. So first, do we have any teachers, assistants, or OWL facilitators with us this morning? There's a lot more because we're launching RGL this morning. All right, sit back down. Office dazzlers, the people that help out during the week in the office. There we go. How about musicians? A Street Band, choir, guest musicians on Sunday morning. We can clap for this stuff too. I imagined people clapping as I was going through this litany, and then it was silent the first two. So let's applaud for those first two groups. And now the musicians. There we go. Okay. Any members of the AV committee who are here, who keep this thing going, the live stream going? Any members of the grounds committee? Any members of the facilities committee? Any ushers, greeters, or coffee hour volunteers? Anybody on the pledge team? The most thanked role in the church. But worship associates. Small group leaders, Open Circles or UU Connects. Program Council liaisons. Board of Trustees. This is an incomplete list, because there's also two other big groups to mention. One is all of the work that we do outside the church. We mentioned in Joys and Sorrows that Jackie Egan was recognized at the NAACP dinner last night. Jackie Egan got an award for extraordinary community service from the Lincoln Branch NAACP. And the things that people sign up for aren't always the things that they end up doing. Kim Zeman, our president this morning, we had a new member welcome. Kim is covering in preschool because our preschool teacher is out sick, and Jason Slaughter, our treasurer, stepped into the new member welcome. So these roles rotate as they're needed, as things go wrong, as they do. Okay. There's also a lot of other service organizations. I didn't even touch all of the social justice stuff that we do at this church. That was intentional, because this is about keeping the church going day by day. Here's the other fun part. Could you stand up if in that litany you stood up 2 or more times? No, stay standing this time. Stay standing this time. And stay standing if you were standing for 3 of those groups. Wow. For 4 of those groups. For 5 of those groups. For 6 of those groups. Okay. So here's the point. Churches are really messy and hard. Things go wrong all of the time. And somehow, so many of us end up working with them anyway. And that is a puzzle sometimes. Why? This is an imperfect group of people. Why volunteer 6 days a week, it feels like, for it? We said last week that we're compelled by the vision of the church. That's great. The church is an abstract concept that has a real effect on the real world. That is rare and a pretty cool thing to be involved in. There's more than that, though. This is a place where we make a difference in the world. That's very true of this place, especially for those of us deeply involved in the social justice aspects of it. But so is Planned Parenthood. So is the ACLU. So is the NAACP. So why keep showing up here? Why show up to do AV? Why show up on a Tuesday afternoon to weed on our grounds. I think it's something that Jane Shepka says, that at church we can test out different ways of being. My mentor, Natalie Fenimore, told me something similar once. In the historically black churches that she grew up in, the church was explicitly a place where you could be something different than you were the rest of the week. Sure, you might have no power to affect change in the broader world, but on Sunday, you could be the chair of the finance committee. Getting involved means you get to choose. Getting involved in this place means you get to test out different ways of being. And that's not to say that it's easy. So when I said you join the church twice, when you sign the book and when it breaks your heart, make no mistake, the church can and will break your heart. It is a group of several hundred people trying to build something together, but each with our own limitations. We give new members of this community roses 2 times. Once when babies are born. They get roses without thorns. Our new members get roses with thorns. I got a thumbs up from one of our new members. Adults who join get roses, thorns, and all as a reminder that the beauty of community comes with sharp edges. The church members can be petty, cruel, short-sighted, infuriating to one another and those around them, sometimes all at once. The church creates systems to try and channel volunteer time, but like every system that we create as people, it often falls short. And there is a danger in saying that you really join the church after it breaks your heart and you come back, because that sounds a lot like abuse. And so I do want to be clear that if you experience abuse at this church or anywhere else, any other church or institution, your obligation is not to come back and find the love in the community. It's to make sure that you're cared for and safe. But most of the heartbreak in churches, most of the times hearts get broken here, it's less about abuse and more about potential that is not realized. I've come pretty close to walking out of the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association 2 times, despairing over if we could ever actually live up to the things that we say we're about. But each time I've stayed, and my bond with that institution has gotten deeper. Especially when I find myself in the midst of everything going wrong, looking around a gathering of the UUMA at all of my colleagues, all the people who volunteer on committees together for the national denomination, and going, all of these are God's people, so funny and wonderful and odd all at the same time. And somehow we're doing this thing despite all of that, because of all of that. These people. Everyone that just stood up, everyone in this room, everyone in the live stream. So funny and wonderful and odd, all at the same time. And here's where this turns into a stewardship sermon. This group of people, so funny and wonderful and odd, all at the same time, all get together and give of their time and their talent and their treasure to create the Unitarian Church of Lincoln. You choose to do that, individually and collectively, whether you have been here for 1 day, whether you have just joined the church, whether you have been here for 35 years. This church exists because you say it exists, and you make it exist. So after church today, we're going to do a thing. We've got potluck. There are prizes involved, I'm told. But also for the next 6 weeks, starting this Sunday during the potluck, we're going to have these folders out after church. Blue folders that look like this. Last year, you might remember we did a small oral history project. Yeah, okay. For those of you who weren't here last year, or those of you who need a reminder, I was on sabbatical finishing my doctorate. The thesis of that doctorate was an oral history project that was not a small task at all. We got 100 people in this church to record stories with one another, to sit down one-on-one and have a conversation about what their experience was during the pandemic. And afterwards, we asked, do you feel more connected to each other? Do you feel more connected to the church? And most people who did that project said yes. They said we loved talking to other people. We loved getting to know somebody in the church that we did not know before. And so as we were starting to plan the annual giving campaign this year, somebody, I think it was Jason, said, is there anything that we can use from that project for stewardship? So here's what we have. Folder. Inside you'll find a couple welcome letters from the stewardship chair and for myself. And then you'll find directions to have a conversation with one other member of the community. And questions to ask each other. Those questions have nothing to do directly with money. The questions like, tell me about a friend you met at the church. When was the last time you belly laughed at church? What are you involved in here? Conversations to connect with each other, to start to see the many, many different pieces that build this place, that make this place a congregation. And then, in this folder, there's a pledge sheet. Asking what you'll pledge this year. Yes, money. Also what you'll pledge this year in terms of time. Will you volunteer with the grounds? Will you volunteer to help make coffee on Sunday morning? What will you give of yourself to make this congregation, this messy group of imperfect people, into a community? So for the next 6 weeks, you're going to see me stalking, hopefully me and several volunteers and the board stalking through coffee hour, handing these out. We're going to do this differently than we have in the past. It's September. Usually this sermon is the first Sunday in October. We're only going to ask once this fall. We've gotten into this habit the last 3 years during the pandemic of doing a stewardship campaign in the month of October and then falling short at the end of October and then doing sort of a supplemental ask at the beginning of November. We're not going to do that this year. That's a necessary habit that we got into during COVID, but it is not a sustainable habit. So this is it. This is the annual giving campaign. There's not going to be oh, we didn't make our budget, second ask. What we get in pledge forms is going to be what we have in the budget for 2024. We are the people who choose. Stewardship is your choice. I'll say for myself, I'm not a member of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln. Ministers often aren't. We can't get our emotional needs met in the same way that members of the congregation do, so we have our membership elsewhere. I'm a member at the Unitarian Church in Baltimore, because when I'm there, I can sit in the pews and not have a role other than that. But Stacy and I do pledge to this place because we love this community. This group of people so funny and wonderful and odd all at the same time. I hope you'll join us in doing that. Amen. I think we have one more piece of guest music.
On Tuesday evening of this week, I know you all have a Board of Trustees meeting or something like that, but I won't be there, and Bill won't be there, because we'll be performing at the faculty recital on campus and at Doane in Crete. And we'll be performing this piece as well as a couple of other ones. This next one is called By Strauss, And it's a comic piece by brothers George and Ira Gershwin. It's singing the praises of the Viennese waltz style of music and poo-pooing anything that came off Broadway, Irving Berlin, Jerome Kern, Cole Porter, and in fact, Gershwin himself. And the Gershwin brothers used to perform this at parties in their social circle in Manhattan by Strauss. Away with the music of Broadway, be off with your Irving Berlin. Oh, I'd give no quarter to Kern or Cole Porter, and Gershwin keeps pounding on tin. How can I be civil when hearing this drivel? It's only for night-clubbing sousers. Oh, give me the free and easy waltz that is Viennese, and go tell the band if they want a hand, the waltz must be Strauss's. When I want a melody lilting through the house, then I want a melody by Strauss. It laughs, it sings, the world is in rhyme, swinging in three-quarter time. Let the Danube flow along and deflate a mouse. Keep the wine and give me some by Strauss. By June, by Strauss is sing. So I say to Ha-cha-cha, hey Rose, just give me an by Strauss. When I want a melody lilting through the house, just give me a melody by Strauss. It laughs, ha, it sings, the world is in time, swinging in three-quarter time. Let the Danube flow along and deflate a mouse. Keep the wine and give me some by Strauss. By June, by Strauss is the name. So I say to Ha-cha-cha, hey Rose, just give me an by Strauss.
Well, a big thank you to our ringers coming in on short notice for our music this morning. One reiterated point. The church is this big concept. It's abstract. Sometimes it's real. Sometimes it's a floating concept. The church is the people in it, and the church is the one person that you are in front of. So the whole reason for this is to bring that concept of church out of abstraction and have it be the one person that you're having a conversation with. Because that's what this actually is. It's a whole lot of conversations. So, as we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment, go in peace, but don't go far. Go to the potluck share a meal together, and share conversation. Amen, and blessed be. Our closing hymn, there we go. Oh, right, I was going to talk about this hymn. So we don't pick hymns by accident. I know it sometimes seems like that, because there are some hymns that work with a theme and some hymns that are less obvious. As Tranquil Streams That Meet and Merge was written in response to the merger of the Unitarians and the Universalists. It was written as a musical expression of the thing that we build together. So, as we go forward to this potluck and this meal that we've built together, but also this community that we are building together every time we do a pledge campaign, let's sing this one hymn together. Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing number 145, As Tranquil Streams That Meet and Merge.